Yo, what's up, dorks? I'm rating all the classes I took in my electrical computer engineering curriculum at UT Austin. I just graduated 2023 May. So, I was fucking bored, so I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna serve as like a recap for me, and maybe it'll help you decide what classes you might want to take. And keep in mind, I'm doing like software engineering, so a lot of these are like electrical engineering classes too, so that might affect my opinions on the way I'm rating it. So I decided to do three ratings. My personal rating is how like useful or interesting it was to me personally. Objective is like how useful I think it would have been if that class was relevant to what I wanted to do, and also how good looking the professors are. So like the three most important ratings. And Right. So I did computer engineering. These are mostly all just engineering courses, throwing maybe a few math courses in there. Um, yeah. Let's get started. I don't know why these are grayed out a little bit. Whatever. So, calculus class. I guess that's pretty useful. This is like a basic calculus class. Professor was all right. Some Russian guy. We'll do a 4 out of 5. In fact, they're all out of 5. So we'll just remember that out of 5. We'll give it a 3. It was just like an average class, nothing crazy, but it was fine. Objective rating, sure, 3. Good looking. There's an older guy. He brought his kid in once. Not a bad looking guy for his age. All right. Anti-academic success. So this class is not really like that engineering focused. It's more like a class where like people like complain about their problems or like I don't know. You can like just talk to other engineering students. Again, like your first semester is probably like at least for the ECE curriculum at UT. It's pretty rough for most people. I remember some girl was talking about how she like cried like every single night for like a week or something. So that's interesting. I guess it's pretty interesting class, pretty chill. And it's only like 1 hour, so say it's a 3. They made you like write reflections and stuff. So like depending on who you are, it could be more so. Objective rating, I think it lets you connect to some people a little better. For me, maybe a 3. Good looking, Nina Talang. She's an older lady. She has a husband already. Yeah, we'll stick with 3. Sort of computing, also Nina Talang. Um, Pretty low level, logic gates, a lot of assembly and stuff like that. Um, to me personally, not particularly useful, but it's a good introduction. I mean, EC curriculum goes bottom up. Like you start with assembly machine code, then you go to like, whatever C, C++, Java, Python. So for me, I guess it is kind of good to know what it is. I will give it a 3.5 in terms of usefulness. I mean, it's good to know, but you do waste a lot of time like coding fucking Connect 4 and like assembly. It takes you fucking 100 years. So objective rating, yeah, we'll keep it the same, I guess, since this is relevant to what I'm doing. And of course, a 3 again, because it's the same professor. Okay, this one, 302. That was like the course number. This one is a pretty hard class. Most people would agree with that. It's probably the first class a lot of people take that where they're consistently getting like 40s on the midterms. But the class gets curved a lot because it's so hard. Personally, I actually did really well in the class, but not that useful for me. Really a 1 because I mean circuits, op amps, stuff that I will literally not be touching at all. For people who are doing hardware, though, probably 5. You probably have to do this. It's literally the basics of circuits. So for people who are actually doing hardware, you definitely need to know this. And Wasserman, you know what? I'll give him a 4. Pretty good looking guy. I like Wasserman. All right. Embedded systems. So this class, I realized I should probably explain. I guess I am kind of explaining what we're doing in the classes. Intro to embedded systems. So we're looking at some microcontrollers. I think we had the TM4C Launchpad. Got some wires, plus you're working in C and assembly, some GPIO, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember like any of the code. For me, not particularly useful. I mean, I guess you get a little bit better at C coding. You can make an argument that it's a 3 for me. Personally, if you're doing embedded systems, I mean, this is a 5. Like, this is really good. Like, if you're actually doing embedded systems, computer architecture, some lower level coding where you're like doing some mix of hardware and stuff, Bali, we'll also give him a 4. I think he's a pretty good looking guy. He does yoga and stuff like that. Does some yoga classes at UT. We'll give him a 3.6 actually. I don't think he's as good looking as Wasserman. Wasserman's a little younger though, so he has an advantage there. But all right, first year design. We were gonna do some cool stuff. It's like a 1-hour course to like apply to get it. But COVID hit us hard. In fact, actually, COVID hit me really hard this semester. Even the intro embedded systems course, I remember I had to go back home, and I was literally fucking trying to solder in my garage for the first time. If you don't know what soldering is, basically you just have like it's kind of like baby welding, but you're doing it with electronics. And I like burned myself like 3 times in my garage. Anyways, COVID messed things up a lot. So this class we didn't really end up doing anything. So I will give this question marks because we didn't end up doing anything in this class. All right, Starin. So this is just another normal calculus class, reasonably useful, even though I probably forgot all of it by now across the board. Yeah, reasonably useful. Starin, I thought he was a pretty good looking guy. We'll give him a 4.5 out of 5. I mean, that's pretty generous. All right, physics class for me, pretty much useless. It was a pretty hard class, mechanical engineering physics. But I'm doing software, so pretty much useless. Objective rating. I mean, even if you're doing electrical engineering, I don't think the physics is that crazy. But obviously, if you're doing mechanical, I'll give it a 4. Like it's a class you need to have if you're actually doing the physics. Good looking. I didn't think it was very good looking. We'll give him a 2. All right. It's the lab for that course. Once again, not useful for me. Even for people who are doing Mechie, I'll give it a 3. I don't remember what the TA looked like. All right. Next, fall 2020. So still pretty COVID-y. You see, these are all like web-based courses, so basically all remote. Software engineering, design implementation. I feel like you just learn some normal basic ass like C++ code. Can't really remember that much from that class, to be honest. But it was probably useful for me. Like you get some introductions to C++. We'll give it a 4. Honestly, I don't even remember going to class, to be honest. I probably just learned it by myself. A lot of these web-based courses, I just didn't go to class, to be honest. Objective rating, we'll give it a 4. Good looking. What did I give Vivek before? This is my first time seeing him today. What does he even look like? I don't even remember what he looks like. We'll give him a 3 because I don't even remember. Math. Okay, so this is a diff EQ class, differential equations, all that stuff. So, yeah, to be honest, I don't really remember anything. Personally, I don't really need to know that math. Objectively speaking, maybe some like hardware people need to know. Maybe some a lot of other engineering people need to know these. So it's probably a 4. I personally didn't really learn anything in this class, though. I took a few shortcuts. We'll leave it at that. Looking, and we'll give him a 3. All right, Cuevas circuit theory. Once again, like this engineering courses, a lot of like op amps, RL, RC circuits. The math was pretty crazy. You're doing a lot of stuff in imaginary numbers, e to the I theta, Eulers. Pretty math intensive, pretty hard class. I should put a difficulty actually on here. I regret everything. In fact, I'm gonna add that now. Fucking dumbass video. Difficulty rating. We'll give it orange. Oh, I realize I should have. You can tell this is a fucking jank ass video. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And let's do that. All right, so difficulty for these. Calculus. Honestly, not that difficult. Like compared to all the other engineering classes, this is like by far the easiest. Though I've actually done some calculus before. I'll give it a 2. Not that difficult. And this one doesn't even count a 1 because it's not even a real class. It's not like a real class where you're actually seriously getting graded. Intro to computing. For me with Talang, it wasn't that hard. It's definitely harder for a lot of people. I'll give it a 4. 302, I'd say it's pretty hard to give it a 5. It's a hard class. Intro to Med Systems. Once again, depending on who you are, for me it wasn't too bad. We'll give it a 3. This difficulty, I'm trying to mix it between like how hard I felt and how hard I felt others had it feel, how I interpreted others felt the class was in terms of difficulty. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, this one. Um, this one again, calculus, not that hard compared to the other engineering classes. Engineering physics, actually surprisingly difficult. I was surprised how hard that was going to be. In the lab was just fucking annoying. Like you were allocated like 3 hours for it, but oftentimes you were, or maybe you're allocated 2 hours, but oftentimes you were doing them. You know, like you'd have to go home and continue doing them. So it's just annoying. It wasn't hard, just annoying. But 3. Maybe I have an annoying rating too, but that's like too much work. All right, this one I don't remember it being difficult at all. Move it to 2. VQ. Personally, like a 1, but again, I took some shortcuts in that class, so take that with a grain of salt. Circuit theory, okay, objective rating. Once again, if you're doing hardware, very useful probably. Give it a 4. Looking, not particularly. Difficulty, pretty hard class actually. I'll give it a 4. Yeah, online made it a little easier, no lie. Maybe a 3.5. Give it a 3.5. All right, Nanda Kumar, personal rating. That's how do I get these? Can I like get these to stay? I know there's a way to get these to fucking stick around so that you can always see what, whatever. Fuck it, you have to memorize it. All right. This class, what the fuck is this class? Personal rating. It was a pretty useful class. You learned some multi-threading. You did some Java FX, which is like the most fucking brain-dead graphic library of all time, which is not great. But learned some basics. I honestly didn't really go to class that much. I just learned it by myself, like using online resources. But at the end of the day, useful class. So objective and personal rating, keep it the same. Nanda Kumar, not particularly good looking in my opinion. Give him a 1.5. Difficulty, depending on who you are, I'll give it a 3.5. It's not an easy class. There's some big O stuff in there. A lot of like polymorphism quizzes and tests. Nanda Kumar's a little bit harder, but it's programming, so for me, I felt it was easier. All right, this is my linear algebra class with matrices and stuff. Personally, not that useful, but it was good to get that idea that it exists. Like, it's helpful in those data science classes. I'll give it a 3. For people who are actually doing stuff, this is a 5. You like have to take this class if you're doing anything with like academia in terms of data science. Or honestly, I'm sure there's a lot of different places where linear algebra matrices are very useful. Israel, I'm pretty sure he had a wife. I'll give him a 3.8. Pretty not bad looking guy. Difficulty, not that bad to be honest. I'll give it a 3. Maybe a little harder than calculus because it's a little bit different than what you've seen before. Honestly, 2. Not hard. Linear systems and signals, for me, worthless class. For people who actually need it, probably pretty useful. Give them a 4. Again, it's like convolutions and whatever, linear system signals, a lot of math. It's basically just a math class at this point, math and physics. I don't even remember because I just don't remember. Good looking Mokatari, yeah, we'll give him a 3, sure. We'll give him a 3.2. Difficulty, in my opinion, was a really hard class, but again, it was web-based, so I've got to take a few shortcuts. I think if you're taking this without the web, this is a really hard class, in my opinion. We'll give it a 3.5. Discrete math, pretty useful class for me. Pretty useful. We'll give it a 4. Objective rating, sure, we'll give it a 4 again. This is like set theory, Boolean algebra, proofs. The proofs were like kind of useless, not gonna lie. But the set theory and like Boolean algebra, I mean, that's good to know probably. Good looking, 1.5. And difficulty, the class was annoying that you couldn't like use cheat sheets on the exams because you literally had to remember, like she made us remember like all the fucking like the names of the Boolean algebra laws and stuff like that, and like not having cheat sheets for like the proofs, for example, like proof by contrapositive or induction, all that shit. It's pretty annoying, but honestly not that difficult. We'll give it a 3.5. Also, if you notice, some of these people I don't really remember their question marks. It means I don't really remember their name. the more question marks they have, the more I don't remember their name. Like, for example, this guy, his name was definitely not Tupac, but I can't remember what his name. I'm pretty sure it started with a TU or something. So this is all that can come to my head. And I could like just figure it out. I could just like look somewhere, but I'm too fucking lazy, so unlucky. Personal rating, digital logic design. Learn some Verilog, learn some like more like on top of like how the logic gates work, building up towards like how more complicated computing works. It's quite interesting actually, but for me, not particularly useful. But a 2 for someone who's doing lower level hardware, computer architectures, things like that. I think it's a necessary class. It's a 5. Looking, honestly, I don't really remember what he looks like because it was like online the whole time. This guy literally just had all of his videos like pre-recorded. He's literally just making passive income as a fucking professor. He doesn't have to do like he has his TAs grade everything, and then he just uses the videos that he recorded from fucking 3 semesters ago. So honestly, fucking goated strategy. Difficulty. Some of the projects were a little harder. Like I think the last Verilog project, a lot of people had struggles with. I was very fortunate. I don't think I really struggled with it that much. Give it a 3. It was moderate difficulty, not too bad. Probability. I can't remember the guy's name. Probability is actually a very interesting class, in my opinion. Like it's a lot of like statistics and probability, like very different way of thinking about mathematics. A lot more hard than you would expect. You'd think like differential equations would be like more difficult, but no, probability was a hard ass fucking class. What am I giving it in terms of personal rating? I guess I'll give it a 3.5. Interesting class. Not like super useful. Like I don't really need to know the probability that bad, but it's good to know and it's interesting. Let's see. I think for someone who's doing more academia stuff, like more like computer science, like focused, yeah, I think it's pretty useful. Give it a 4 or 5 even. Honestly, we'll give it a 5 for someone who really needs it. Like you have to take the class. Let's see. Good looking. Honestly, pretty good looking guy, as I said over there. Give him a 4 or 5. Difficulty, pretty hard class. We'll give it a 4. Pretty difficult class. I realize I've only given 302 a 5, or like this class a 5 in terms of difficulty. Yeah, I think that's fair-ish. We'll give this a 4 or 5. Pretty hard class. Right, algorithms. I knew a lot of people who struggled in this class. For me, I think it's a pretty useful class. You learn some, things that'll help you with like leak code interviewing. Definitely algorithms helps in terms like you learn Dijkstra's, Gale-Shapley, fucking dynamic programming, like how you even come up with those algorithms. I think it teaches you a little bit more how to think. It's a pretty hard class. I'll give it a 4 or 5 in both of these. And let's see, good looking. Santa Cruz, I'm sorry, I'll give it a 2. And then difficulty. It's a pretty hard class, to be honest. I know a lot of people who struggled. We'll give it a 4. Communications. This is kind of a bullshit class, to be honest. Maybe you learn a little bit, especially if you haven't got an internship before or anything. At this point, I already had an internship, like with Zoom. So a lot of like the set up the resume stuff I had already done. So not particularly useful in that case. But you do get a little bit better at writing. You don't really do a lot of writing in engineering. I have some English courses back here that I didn't mention, but we'll give it a 3. Yeah, I think it might be a generous 3. Objective rating, 3. Looking, he's not bad looking. We'll give him a 3 across the board. Difficulty, not that hard. Just a lot of bullshit work. Give it a 2.5. Degree of interest, can't remember the guy's name. I took this because I need an advanced math credit. Most people in EC do not take this class. But you know what? Personal rating, 1, not very useful. I guess I learned a little bit more about APR, APY in my IRL life. Maybe we'll give it a 2 instead. Objective rating, if you're doing actuarial math, that's fucking great. But good looking, I don't really remember. Give him a 3. Difficulty, moderate difficulty. Not that hard, but not easy either. All right, next semester, Soft Engine Design Lab. This is where we created a website. I don't even remember the professor at all because I never went to class. Um, I guess it was honestly pretty useful for me. Like you get a pretty good understanding of like I did like back end stuff, but depending on what you decide to choose in your project, it's like a group project, like 5 people build a website. You can learn a lot. Like you can learn a lot about like React or like, kind of the back end. We did Flask API, which is arguably not like so popular. Maybe Node would have been better, but you get an idea. And also MongoDB, like a non-relational database. I would say pretty useful class. You do learn quite a bit. All right, objective rating, yeah, 5. I think it was a good class for software engineers. I don't even remember what he looked like because I don't remember. I never went to class. Difficulty, honestly, not that hard. 3, I didn't have to go to class. You just fucking learn on your own. They have online resources out there. Data science principles. If you're doing data science, personally, it's a pretty interesting class, to be honest. I'm not really doing data science. We'll give it a 3.5. Objective rating, if you're doing data science, I would say it's pretty good to know these. It's a little bit more theory focused rather than like practicality focused. Still good to know though. I'll give it a 4. Professor, I think he's kind of old. Not his fault. He has a wife, he doesn't really. He'll be okay. Difficulty, it was a pretty hard class. I think since this was my first data science class, a lot of people in there like already had taken data science. It was pretty hard for me. I remember I would ask questions and it kind of seemed like I would get shit on for them. So we'll give it a 3.5. We'll give it a 4. Give it a 4. Give it a 4. Barber. This class was pretty stupid, personally. I'm gonna probably give it a 1 in terms of personally. Basically, they just like have you draft out this. It's just a bunch of busy work. Draft out this fucking long ass fucking project thing with all of your. I mean, maybe a 2. It teaches you a little bit, I guess. We'll give it a 2.5 actually. It teaches you a little bit about like how the business side works, I guess, like what it's like to be maybe a little bit more product management side, like software architecturing, meaning like abstracting the layers from the technical portion up into like what a business person, depending on like who the stakeholders are. So I think there was some things I did learn in that class, but honestly, it was a lot of busy work, like truly. Objective rating, I mean, if you want to be a software architecture, I guess it's probably all right. We'll give it a 3.5. Barber, in my opinion, not particularly good looking. Difficulty, not a hard class. Very easy, just a lot of busy work. So we'll give it a 2. Just so much time sunk into it. Kind of like communications, to be honest, like engineering communication, like pretty easy class, but just a lot of work that you have to do. All right, this is not an engineering class, but it's a social dance class, and it's fucking awesome. I had to put it in. 10, 10, 10, 10. All right. Next one. For engineering design. Well, honestly, to talk more about this dance class, you should definitely take it. Even if you don't do dance at all, I was literally so ass in the beginning. Like, I literally learned so much slower than everyone else. I have a fucking engineering brain. Like, I can't fucking move at all. But, it was so fun. And dance has become like one of my main hobbies now. So I have to recommend it. It's so fucking good. All right. And Nick and Melissa are absolutely great. So intro to engineering design, it's just a senior design class. I had some project with John Deere. It was all right. We'll give it a 3. 3 across the board. Depending on what project you get, it could be a lot more interesting. You could learn a lot more. For me, honestly, we did not do much coding. We did like more like writing reports than we did coding. Yeah, and it was literally just like a really simple Python script. Like that's our final project. Yeah, whatever. Good looking. Register and Fagelson. I guess the average of them too. Sure, we'll give them a 3. Difficulty. Once again, it depends on the project that you choose, so I can really only give it a 3. For me, it was not that difficult. For me personally, in fact, I'll give it a 2. Pretty easy class, just a lot of time taken out. Data Science Lab. This class, very interesting. It wasn't even that useful for me personally because I'm not doing data science, but because it was so interesting, 5. Demakis, great lecture. Objective rating, 5. Good looking. I'm biased. If he's just such a great lecturer, really charismatic guy. Difficulty, definitely not easy. You have to put some work in. But once again, this is the data science more practical side. You do a lot more like a lot more coding, a lot more in Python. Once again, you still have to understand like what the math behind it is. Some linear algebra, some calculus. Overall, though, I enjoyed the class. Yeah, would recommend it. Software testing. I can't remember the professor's name. I'm pretty sure I never went to class. Is it that useful? I mean, you learn a little bit about like unit testing. There's a lot of different kinds of tests that you can run. I don't know, 3. I don't even remember what he looked like. Difficulty. Not a difficult class though. 3. Oh, and because I love dance so much, it's worth mentioning again. So, great class. I took it again this next semester. All right, operating systems. This class was hard as shit. Personal rating though, you learn like how to build a Linux. You learn how to build like a shell, and then you learn how to build the actual operating system itself, and how it like handles the file system, how it runs threads and processes. Honestly, it was kind of interesting. Like you definitely learn how a computer works, and like you do a lot more practice with multi-threading. I would say actually it was a pretty useful class. Like you do learn like how it works at the not at like the assembly level, but a level above that, the C operating systems level. I'll give it a 4 or 5. Pretty good, pretty good. Honestly, we'll give it a 5. I don't know why I even bother with 4 or 5. What the fuck am I talking about? Difficulty, really hard. Oh, you're good looking first. You're a what did I give him before? Probably gave him like a 3 something. 3.6? All right. Yeah, we'll keep that. And difficulty was definitely 5. Oh, I just realized I put 10 on the difficulty for the fucking dance classes. No, these should all be zeros. The dance class is really easy. You don't have to actually be good at dancing to like do well in the class. Like you just need to go to class. Very easy to get a free A. All right, operating systems. Okay, I'll let you in a secret though. At UT, you have 4 main projects that make up like 72% of your grade. First project is independent of everything, so you got to do it. The second project is called user prog, and the last 2 projects are built on top of user prog. So basically, for the love of God, you have to do. In fact, I would recommend you have to get 100 on user prog. Like you want to get all the test cases and everything. And my secret is that the next 2 projects, user prog will already pass a lot of the test cases, and you don't really have to add on to it. So what me and my partner did, we didn't intend to do this, but we struggled so much, is that we just ended up submitting user prog, that second project, for the third and fourth project. So basically, I only did 2 projects in the class out of the 4 projects that take up 72% of your grade. Then I got 100 on all the quizzes, or I probably got like a 95 average on the quizzes. Ended up making a B+ in the class, only by doing the first 2 projects. And the first 2 projects are a lot easier than the second 2 projects, in my opinion. So do really good on the first 2, especially that second one. Like definitely try to get all the test cases. And if you can't do the next 2 after that, just submit the second project. You'll be okay. All right. Senior design project. This kind of piggies off the design project in the fall there. Yeah, it was all right. We'll give it a 3 across the board. John Deere. It was okay. And once again, these are great classes. You already know what my opinions on that are. 10, 10, 10 across the board. Great classes. Even though this is rated out of 5, they deserve 10s and 0 difficulty. So yeah. And once again, these difficulty levels are pretty subjective. I mean, this whole thing is pretty subjective. But I would say difficulty out of all of these columns is the most subjective because I guess I think I was a pretty strong student, so I think I found a lot of things easier than what other people might have felt. And of course, this scale is based off like an ECE scale, like probably like in some other majors, like a 3 here is probably the hardest class like you'll you'll ever take in like someone else's major. So I am really basing it like on an ECE difficulty scale, bell curve, if that makes sense. I guess final remarks is that if you know you're going to do software engineering, you should take CS instead of ECE. That's like their curriculum is just better. You won't waste your time like with like all these like circuit classes or hardware classes. When I first came into UT, I didn't know if I was going to do hardware or software, so I chose ECE to kind of hedge my bets. But if you know you want to do software, which is what I'm ending up doing now, definitely take the CS curriculum instead. Is my recommendation at least. Yeah, other than that, pretty happy with what I learned at UT. It's not bad. In fact, it's a very strong engineering program, like top 10 in the US. Um, so yeah, great program. Learned a lot. Definitely a lot more learning to do. In fact, I'm on Udemy right now. In fact, you can see here, I'm trying to learn some little bit more web dev stuff. We didn't touch. If you noticed in there, really the only like web dev course was that software engineering design where we built that website. It's right here, and I did backend, so I literally know nothing about like I never really learned front end properly, and also I didn't learn like anything about databases in here really, other than Mongo. Like I don't know anything about SQL or anything, so there's a lot of like gaps in my knowledge that were not fulfilled by this program. But this program definitely gives you the tools to where you can think on your own and learn by yourself, which is more important than the knowledge. I think being able to think and being able to learn on your own is a much more valuable skill. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I got really nothing else that I could think of. I hope you found this useful in some way, and maybe this will in some way, I guess for me, remind me of what I did back in the day. But if you are going to UT or to any other engineering program, maybe we'll give you some sense of what to look out for. Yep. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Later.